So Trump is touting a 16-day extravaganza in D.C. to celebrate America's 250th anniversary, or birthday, I guess, and is already doing a victory lap about making America patriotic again. Watch.
I am thrilled to declare that America is back. We were dead. Now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're respected by everybody. Nobody's laughing at us anymore. We have reclaimed our sovereignty, regained our liberty, restored our prosperity, and we have saved our country. In all things, we're once again putting a thing called America first.
But not everyone's waving the flag right now. Here's what Larry David said when he was asked about the UFC event on the White House lawn earlier this month that kicked off the 250th celebration. Watch.
It was a travesty, yeah. What else can you say about it? It was embarrassing. I was embarrassed to be an American, yeah.
So, I'm very good friends with Larry David, and so I'm not gonna, I think he's right in many ways. I mean, you listen to Trump, we used to have friends around the world, now we don't have them anymore. So what is he talking about?
Yeah, but you know, I was thinking about this, and there's some people that are gonna take issue with Larry David saying something like that. But there's so many countries where if you said something like that about being embarrassed by that country, you would end up dead. Places like Iran, places like Cuba, places like North Korea, places like Nicaragua, where I fled. So I absolutely support and respect his right to have his feelings about this country and to say them out loud. That is what makes America, America.
Because we're secure about it, that's why.
No, because we believe in freedom. Because we believe in freedom.
Well, and I also, when the only thing I hear is when he says I'm embarrassed, I say don't give Trump that power, because Trump is here for 8 years out of 250. That's a blip in time. And I refuse to hand over my patriotism, my pride of this country, because even the global community knows that Americans are not happy. So I would not decide that I represent Donald Trump as an American out in the world. He happens to be the current president. And that's what it is.
You can be very embarrassed and mortified and horrified by Donald Trump.
But by Donald Trump, not the country. That's what I won't hand over to him.
And I think that's what he was saying, because they were asking him specifically about the UFC event on the White House lawn.
Right.
That embarrassed me. I thought it was tacky. I just thought it was trashy. I just, you know, they uttered a slur against our former First Lady, my forever First Lady, Michelle Obama. There was plenty to be embarrassed about that UFC.
Yes.
And you know, he's getting on stage and saying that, you know, we are no longer the laughing stock of the world and we are the best country in the world. Well, 76% of adults across 36 nations that were surveyed have zero confidence in Trump. Like you know, our standing in the world because of this president has dropped, and that is just a fact. And so I can't say, you know, I'm embarrassed to be American, but I am embarrassed by this administration. I am embarrassed by Donald Trump, and I am absolutely embarrassed by what happened on the White House lawn. I thought it was trashy.
Well, we've talked about it before, but the country is bigger than any one president, and the presidency is bigger than any one president. I am very, very proud to be an American, and I have been taking in the 250th anniversary celebration mostly by enjoying the World Cup. I don't know a thing about soccer or football,
and
but
all the good-looking players.
Well, good-looking players, but watching people come from all over the world and discover things about America is giving me absolute life. There was a Japanese fan who basically posted this. I mean, I can't even read you the whole thing, but he discovered unlimited salsa and chips, and it was like it just opened his eyes to a new world. He's quoted as saying,
he's gonna have to buy 2 seats when he gets home.
There is no number of baskets I would refuse. The trust of a nation is in its salsa. Scottish fans literally drank Boston out of beer. Europeans went into a Waffle House and were like, this is the greatest experience of my life. We are still a great nation. We are a strong nation. We have culture, and it is Waffle House. No, it just reminds us that like the World Cup kind of feels like there's so much that unites the world than divides us, and we should look for those moments because it can feel so dark around us. But there's this beauty of things that can bring us together.
We're a fat nation. All those
We are.
Europeans are going to have to take GLP-1s back home when they get there. But
Enjoy our chips.
you know what?
Bottomless.
Though this thing that Trump did between the UFC fight and then this thing this week, and remember, it turned into a Trump rally because basically all the artists that had agreed to participate, most of them dropped out, at least the ones that had a #1 hit in my lifetime. But contrast that to the Obama Center opening,
gosh.
which so many people saw online and attended and was uplifting, and where Obama was able to do, this is why no wonder Trump is so obsessed with Obama. Yeah. Obama basically took his Spotify playlist, his favorite artists and his favorite songs, and said, here, go get them.
And they all showed up. Yeah, all of them.
They all showed up.
All of them.
That's why he's jealous. He's so jealous of him.
And they were all so proud to be performing there in front of, I called Mark Anthony because I saw that he had been there, and he was the Latino, he was the one Latino artist, and I called him when he was on his tour bus on his way back to Miami. And the joy that was emanating out of him and the pride, and he told me what it meant to him as an American, as a proud American and Puerto Rican, to perform in front of 4 different sets of presidents and first ladies, bipartisan.
Yeah.
So that's something that Donald Trump will never.
And think about also
have.
what I was struck by when I was watching the Obama inaugural presidential library opening. He even had former heads of state show up. Angela Merkel was there. I mean, he made friends.
Justin Trudeau.
He made friends with other state leaders because they respected him, and they continue to do so.
Trump likes Mao Zedong. He likes Napoleon.
Yes,
He's on the same list with them.
I also think it's this interesting moment, and I feel like Democrats leaned into this in the 2024 election, where no one side owns patriotism. And what I don't like when Donald Trump talks about, like, America is back, it was gone, but because of me, it's here. America never left for me.
Yeah.
I've always loved this nation. I've always been proud of it. That doesn't mean it's not without flaws, but it doesn't need to be like, it's all mine, they can't have any
I
of
have
it.
to say that I'm embarrassed for this country, the way he's been treating immigrants.
Yeah.
He's been separating kids from their families. He's been doing, I mean, my family came over here like 100 years ago. The Italians came here. You know, Italian Americans are some of the most patriotic people in the country. And one of the reasons is because they came from poverty in southern Italy and came here, and they were like, America, God bless America, you know? And now he treats immigrants the way he treats them. And of course, Larry is embarrassed to be an American. In that way, we should all be.
Embarrassed of the president.